Welcome to Gerald Johan van Waas Educational Channel. This channel is meant to give you some examples and some guidance how to understand the method of sound informed, which you can find in a book which is out of on Trafford Publications, book 1 and 2, into 2 books, but they also will be released into 2 volumes as well. So the theory is in volume 1, the development of the word, which will be out very soon. It is a method of what I can call controlled synesthesia, and it is meant to understand and to reveal the underlying meaning of words. And I always intended to give you some examples, and often you can see how the words exactly mean what they are supposed to do, supposed to mean, and the forms that come out of it, that by changing the words into forms, you can recognize the underlying word meaning of the words. But sometimes they are used merely as an orientation, as a kind of direction in which direction you have to think, especially with abstract words, of course. And of course I said that I will not make it easy for myself, so I will also show you some examples of very difficult to understand words. And one of them is, for instance, what is the difference between la or al, or the English all? It is very short, very basic words with an abstract meaning, which are very difficult to understand or to analyze them. And you have to understand the theory behind the meaning of sounds very well. But I will try. There are some examples of la and al in my book, but I will do it differently as in my book, so you will read a different example there. But I will use the intuitive method, as I call it, very loosely, and with it you will understand the difference between these words. And in the meanwhile, I will of course repeat how you have to change the letters themselves into forms, how you understand them. The A is very simple. It is everything in an object, so from the start, from the center till the end of the whole form. So it's the whole form, the whole thing that is the A. In reality, the A can be used for forms or for objects that are very irregular. So in that way, the A reflects the whole object from the start until the finish, somewhere an estimation of the whole thing, but it is the thing itself. So that is the letter A. So that is what you have to understand. The thing itself, the complete thing itself. The L, the second letter, what is that? It is it's the region that in between, so it's the region in the volume which is information. That part, you can see it very well. I put it onto the circle, onto the A, let's say, so that's there. There is the L. But the L is can be anywhere, so also there it can be, anywhere. It can be larger as well. So if it's enlarged, it will use the same region. So the region is there somewhere in between, and it can enlarge there. So it's somewhere in the volume of the growing part of the volume. And if you let it grow out of a form, it will again make more form in between the volume. So it will get a form like that. That's the L. This is what is always happening. So it's like a fractal. It's the same let's say, it's not energy, but it's the same kind of matter or materialization process which is formed the whole time. So that is the meaning of the L. So you learned 2 letters, how you more or less can explain it. So if you then want to understand the L from the A, okay, starting from the A, it will be the increased volume, of course. And if it's only the increased volume, you have only this, you can take out this form like that. So if you have the word al is this part. So from the A, the direction of the center, it moves to the formation, but it's also in the sense it forms itself out of the center, so it is the formation which is somewhere there. The meaning of the word al is a Dutch word, so it's one of the first letters, al. It means actually something like already. So it's already there. It is a kind of projection which is active. That's more or less the abstract idea behind it. I cannot recognize it, maybe not 100% so easily, but intuitively you can already see where it's heading. I will make extra examples so it will become more clear. The second meaning of al, it's also everything, but everything we in Dutch as the word al, we mostly use it more as het al or the al. So we don't say al for everything in Dutch, because there we use alles, so it's not the same. But we can use the word al as everything, but then we say the al. The or het, so that is, you can visualize it like that. So it's the space, the H, the active space in which there is a point that is pointed at. So you have there something. So het is more or less the meaning of something. And if you combine it with al, so het al, you get more or less this form. So this is more or less where het al is meaning. So if you analyze it a little bit, it is like it is something somewhere in the universe, let's say. So it is a point of reference. In fact, you cannot translate it exactly as everywhere, but more like somewhere. So it is already somewhere. It's not really everything, but we use it more in that sense, the word, if I analyze it a little bit further. But we compare it now with the English word all as everything. So for the all, we have the double L. So the double L is the doubling. Then of course we will double it, all the formation in between the center. But the form is not that of the A, because it's not pronounced as A, it is more pronounced as all, so like all. And all is somewhere in between. In my book, in the second book, in the second part, I explain it a little bit as the neutral zone, or the most neutral zone of materializations. So the O is always the spaces, and the A is a materialization. So the O of all is it's like it's somewhere forming itself somewhere. That's more or less what it is. So it is pretty vague actually. It's kind of neutral terrain of everything which is forming. That's the O. If you combine it with the L, all is all the material, also the materializations of the formations. So the whole content information of all the materializations. Compare it with het. all, so you have see that in fact it is about the same thing. The all or everything is the materialization of all the formations. If you analyze it based upon the meaning of sounds, hat all, the same thing. It is somewhere. So it's somewhere. It is the what is formed somewhere. Not much more than that. And of course, this will lead us to the next word very easily, and that's the Arabic Allah, of course. This will be, there we need one more letter for it. The H is the active space in between where something is vivid and it can be, can live vividly. So if you would add that space, it is actually everything which is information, again, which is information, which is forming itself and which is active and which is vivid. And it is more or less how it works. In my second book, second part, because there will be a second book with the volume 2, so in the sound and form, I have also analyzed all the names of Allah, which is interesting because it says something about the study of Ibn al-Arabi, who analyzed all the letters of Arabic and based upon the names of Allah, and it is actually about all the letters, how the letters are perceived, how you are approach yourself to life, and all the names are actually related with the letters, and all the letters have a different approach. So the approach of the letters is the meaning of the letters, but also a psychological approach towards life, which is very interesting and gives a spiritual idea on letters and on their vision of how you approach life. And this is more or less the visualization of the vividness of everything which is effective into all that brings life, let's say, something like that. So we have already, if we start from al, from the A, it is starting from the center. So with Allah, we know that already, so all the vivid formations. So sorry, I had a repetition here. But if we turn it around with La, okay, we have to start from the La, so not from the center, we start from the extension. So just remember this one, you remember, so this was the Al, if you, so there you got there's not really extension, but it was something that it came out as well. But La, it starts from the extension. La, and then you come to a center. So it is the other way around. So we have the first extension and then materialization. If you have the La that comes out of it, you have a formation that comes not exactly forth from a center point, but it comes out of something, whatever it is. Now we have the Dutch word la as a lade, as a drawer, which is one of the meanings. You can more or less recognize it into this pattern. It comes out of somewhere. We don't know exactly what it is, and it materializes itself. So the drawer shows itself, what's in it, only when you pull it out, but that's okay, you can recognize the pattern in it. It's not exactly what it is, but it gives you an idea. And the other meaning of La was even more difficult. It is, you know, they have the La of the singing, the la 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 of the singing, but you have the note La as well, which, as when you analyze where the La everywhere, where it can be everywhere, somewhere in the pattern, it is again in that region It's only it's a particularly small part only there in the region, but it is also can also be used as a proportion. So if you use the do re mi fa sol la si, the sol is the starting note, which brings balance. The fa, it brings a little bit out of balance. So, and then you have the two series, the do re mi and the sol la si. Sol la si is in the middle without a half note, so the la is really in the quite nicely in the middle in that proportion way. It fits in that way. Much more I cannot make from it, unfortunately, at least not in this analyzing. Maybe if I do that some other time, I can make more from it. I even made more from it in my book, but that's another matter. But you can see, not all words reveal everything, but you can work with it. You can see that there are some proportions, and we work with these proportions. So the conclusion of this video is that with very simple and very abstract words, they act mostly as simple guidelines for more proportions, for offer certain placements and directions. It gives you a certain direction. It takes you a couple of efforts before making more associations that you understand it better. But this whole method of understanding vowels and consonants and how to combine them, how to change them into forms, it not always leads to miracles, as you had a couple of times before, but we still can learn why we use them, how we orientated them, and in which direction it leads us. So the la and the al, okay, I gave you just only a very little bit of what direction that they are intending to go to. It doesn't really explain everything in it, but I made it myself. Quite difficult with these two words. Anyhow, I still hope you learned a little bit how you can combine letters, how you can understand them. Maybe I make more simple explanations in the next ones. I mean, I don't have to make everything so complicated every time, but here's some example that I thought, okay, let's make it difficult again for myself and see where it leads me. So this one came from Sound Inform, the full book, but it's the theory which was explained in volume 1, which is also separate, available as a separate volume, I think at least from October onwards. Okay, thanks for watching. You can visit my website or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you like, for more instructional videos. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.